Hello and welcome to this session. So, if you remember yesterday we learned about two types of interview and basically what to do before and at that particular date of online interview and telephonic interview. So these two interviews are the new or modern form of interviews which are conducted in these days. Today we are going to see another types of interviews for which you can get question like explain the types of interviews. So the first type of interview is in interviews for selection. Much of what has been said in the foregoing sections pertains to interview for selections. So generally इंटरव्ह्यू म्हटल्यावर तो सिलेक्शन साठी असतो असा एक आपला समज असतो आणि खूपदा सिलेक्शन साठी असणारे इंटरव्ह्यू यांची संख्या जास्त असते. The methods of conducting such interviews and techniques adopted, however, already been described. कशा प्रकारे हे इंटरव्ह्यू कंडक्ट केले जातात, काय टेक्निक असतं, काय क्वेश्चन असतात हे आपण ऑलरेडी गेले काही दिवस बघतोच. The thing to remember is that interviews for selections are held for the following three reasons: to find out if an applicant is suitable for the job vacancy; second, to give information to the applicant about his work and the organization, and to create goodwill for the organization. So three major reasons for which selection interviews are conducted. First of all, to fill out the vacancy. That means we need to recruit a candidate for our job, and then as an interviewer we need to give him information or her information about her work, organization, what type of work or job description he or she would be handling. And then through the interview we need to create the goodwill for organization. That means we cannot tarnish the image of our organization through the interview, as we are representing that organization. So this is the interview for selection. And the second is appraisal interviews. In an appraisal interview, usually held once a year, because generally people get appraisal once a year, certain percentage of their salary, the superior officers reviews the subordinates' performance, further work plans, and personal prospects. If properly held, such interviews help to improve the efficiency and motivation of the employee, train him for occupying posts involving greater responsibility, and help to improve relations and communication between managers and subordinates. So basically, appraisal must be given to that person who works quite passionately in his or her job, and that individual must be given raise, must be given motivation, and for his better efficiency, for his better future performance, and he should be given greater responsibility for improvement of organization, the relationship between managers and subordinates, and as well as for the improvement of the individual's own self. So we can say that there are few matters which are discussed in appraisal interview. First is to see if past targets and objectives has been achieved. So if he has achieved his targets, then the second, to set targets and objectives for the future. So through this interview, we set the cycle for the next appraisal period, and then we can check if the set future targets are achieved in the next interview. To consider how performance can be improved, definitely there are few lacks which can be improved upon by the candidate, and which needs to be discussed during interview. The clear doubts and assess to clear the doubts and assess the performance and inform the interviewee as where he stands in the interviewer's estimate. So through the appraisal interview, the candidates or the employees doubts are cleared, his performance is evaluated, and people who are involved in that job are informed how he or she has done in his or her job during that period of time, and then to review and consider promotion possibilities. So if the performance is way better, then that employee can get promotion, and for that the review can be conducted. So this is what is considered and what is talked about in appraisal interview. From the manager's perspective, the manager's success depends on how well an employee can carry out his or her task. The appraisal interview enables the manager to fulfill his or her leadership role. The manager. In appraisal interview, generally, when we are talking about manager's perspective, he checks if his or her employee is doing his task better. Then in appraisal interview, generally manager agrees on goals with the employee, therefore provides the employee with directions to go. He facilitates important information regarding the university and or organizational unit. So he provides like a future vision to the employee, how the employee should go working in the organization in future. He evaluates goals together with the employee and conducts casual research. So through his performance and behavioral habits, he can say and evaluate the goals for that employee together. He receives information regarding himself, his employees, organizational units, like a mutual exchange of expectation and desire. So also he can check his own performance, his own relation with the employees. He get information from them, and he can assist and promotes his or her employees. So manager during this appraisal interviews can assist and promotes his or her employee definitely as per their performance. So from the perspective of employees, what employee receives is he receives via appraisal interview a guideline on the basis of which criteria she will be evaluated. So basically before the interview, he gets the criteria or guideline on which he will be evaluated. त्याला नक्की काय काय करायचंय किंवा तिला नक्की काय काय करायचंय हे समजून येतं. An employee's success and career depends on how well he or she depends and develops his or her skills and competence, performance and job satisfaction, as well as how well he or she prepares for possible future tasks and new requirements. So employee receives feedback for his performance. He receives information regarding the organizational units. He can influence his or her area of work and set goals that can get information on possible path of development, requirement and training, and can also voice his or her wishes regarding this training. So this overall can happen through the appraisal interview in case of employee, and we have seen manager's role, employee's role in the appraisal interview. Generally, many managers avoid this kind of interview as they find it embarrassing on account of the fact that many personal problems facing the employee are likely to crop up. Other managers who hold such interviews often make the mistakes of setting the targets for the subordinates, coaxing them into accepting it. So generally, appraisal interviews can be successfully carried out, and they are really very good for the individual's growth and personal skill building. Okay. So we have seen yet the two types of interview. First was selection interview and the second was appraisal interview. Now the third one is under stress interview. This is kind of unique interview. In the under stress interview, the applicant is put under intentional stress so that his reactions can be observed. So खूप साऱ्या पिक्चर्स मध्ये तुम्ही बघितलं असेल, in so many films there is this concept of third degree. That means police officer comes and they gave the criminal or supposedly criminal a third degree. They pressurized him or her a lot so that he or she will tell the truth. So it's not that kind of interview with third degree, but kind of interview where the interviewee is put under a lot of stress, and this under stress interview can be very unpleasant experience for candidate, and hence it should be undertaken with the great care and caution. Moreover, there are only certain types of posts for which this kind of tests has validity. Usually, the post is of managerial nature, which involves spot decisions to be taken under very difficult and tiring circumstances. In a way, you have to make decisions on the spot under a lot of pressure. You have to make decisions which are worth a lakhs and thousands of rupees, and the posts for which these interviews are suitable are those for managers, factory supervisors, and also teachers and principals. What understress interview tries to establish is whether the candidate is self-possessed, calm, tactful, and capable of talking a proper decision, talking and taking a proper decisions in the emergency. So generally, these types of interviews are to train the people and choose the people who are calm, tactful, who are ideal for the jobs which are to be done under the pressure. At this interview itself, several techniques could be adopted to put the candidates under the stress. The most obvious technique would be to ask the number of persons personal questions, or to bombard the candidate with searching questions from the number of panelists without pause or let up. I heard one of such incidents during this period of my studies, that one time during the IS interview, the candidate was asked, what would you do if you found your CEO with your wife in your bedroom? And at that point, that IS candidate, who is supposed to be very calm, cool, and tactful while taking this decision, he answered something that made him a prominent choice for the post. And maybe in the next lecture, I'll let you know what his answer was. What would be your answer? Let me know. Maybe you can comment it on that. Then the fourth interview type is the grievance interview. When human beings interact, there are bound to be grievances and complaints. Generally, आपण जरी घरात बोलत असलो तरी आपल्यात किती वाद होतात? आठवा बरं. आपल्या आईमधले, आपल्या बाबांमधले, आई बाबांचे एकमेकांच्या मधले. So in a way, people, when they talk, they tend to have some grievances, some complaints, some controversies, and a worker may have a grievance against his fellow worker or a superior officer. And generally, this type of interview serve the purpose of allowing workers and employees to blow off some steam. So generally, in a broader way, people just need someone who can hear them out, who can listen their blowing steam, and then they get calm, and they can join the work again. Any dissatisfaction raised formally through the grievance procedure needs to be taken seriously, and when such interview is done, all kinds of records are to be maintained, and the actions against the party who is found a little bit of guilty or on the wrong side must be taken. If employees feel sufficiently strongly about an issue to use formal processes, this is an indicator of the seriousness of the situation from the employee's perspective, and they have the right to a fair and respectful hearing. Issues raised informally should also be taken seriously to reduce the use of formal process. In a way, grievance interviews can make us more accountable towards our work, gets more transparency in our work, and these interviewers who are taking grievance interview should undertake few of the cautions. One of them is preparation. They should prepare vastly. A grievance is initiated by employee, and apart from carefully reading the formal grievance and gathering relevant facts, there may be little that the manager can do to prepare for first interview. And basically, for that, they need more preparations towards this interview. They need to know relevant policies, procedures, practices to be done associated with the organization during their discussion. Then second is they should provide an appropriate physical environment. The candidate should be given openness and free environment to talk about his or her grievances. Then they should listen to hear what is being said by the aggrieved individual. So generally, who is aggrieved, who has a complaint, who is posting his complaint, then he should be or she should be listened by the interviewer properly with the good body language, good eye contact. Then The interviewer should be good in communication skills. He should reassure the employee who has grievances that his grievances will be solved, his complaints will be taken into consideration and would act upon. So he should be very good in communication, and the interviewer should ask appropriate question in the appropriate way, so that the person who is talking to interviewer must not be weirded out, must not be confused or under pressure. He should be able to talk to him or her very prominently. So, in a way, they should analyze the facts and take decisions. Overall, after the interview and hearing from the both parties, the better decision must be made so that similar cases would be prohibited and the sound communication and working channels will go on as per the proceedings of the organization. So this was the fourth type, which was uh, as we discussed, it was grievance interview. Up until now, we have seen four types, and now the fifth is the exit interview. The exit interview is another type of grievance interview for employees. Exit interviews are the one of the last step in and deep conversational step in which they talk about their grievances, their reasons for exit from the company. It should be their chance to give an interview of their experience and opportunity and affirms the contribution they have made to the organization. It should be their relationship with the company should end on a good note, and we should take feedback from the employees who are going to exit. The feedback we provide to the employee must be positive, and the exit interview should be amicable. For that, interviewer should plan the meeting. He should get the background of the person who is exiting or who is quitting the organization, and then he should make a person feel exit survey before the interview. Then he should know what to ask and what not to ask. Targeted questions about specific people or issues which can make negative impact, so they should be avoided, while it's okay to ask the general feedback about the superior and the company and general working environment. The employer and the interviewer should not feed office gossip. It's never constructive and won't be reliable information, and it should not be considered as the official record. They both should not say anything that could be constructed as a slander. That means they should not slander any other organization or subordinate in the organization. The conversation should focus on the employee's experience, lay the groundwork that could look like a setting someone up for termination. So basically, you have your own personal agenda, you should stick to it and should not gossip or talk about others during the exit interview, and you should not bring any personal issues during the scene. Now is the sixth type, that is a group interviews. In a group interviews, a group of people is brought together for purpose of exchanging views, to which the manager listens and from time to time may interrupt and ask questions or obtain more information. Generally, such interviews are called and group is formed for a long period of time and called for interviews at a periodic interval, which is called a panel. The panel may be called by the post or in a person. सो जनरली अशा प्रकारच्या इंटरव्ह्यूज मध्ये खूप साऱ्या लोकांना एकत्र घेऊन इंटरव्ह्यू कंडक्ट केले जातात, आणि जनरली मॅनेजर किंवा एखादा ऑथॉरिटी पर्सनल असतं की जे क्वेश्चन विचारत असतात, आणि तोपर्यंत ग्रुप डिस्कशन सारखं त्या रिलेटेड डिस्कशन होत असतं. Candidates ranging from 10 to 20 in number are made to interact and exhibit their skills. It's like a group discussion, and there is no leader and often no topic of discussion. The selectors sit as silent observer and evaluate the contributions of the participant. In this, you can get the person who is natural leader. Secondly, on the other hand, it often turns into a verbal free-for-all, with the most aggressive candidates stealing the show, with the more intelligent ones being forced into silence. And this can give you the aggressive person in the panel. Also, you can find who is more balanced person, talking about both sides while thinking about both sides, taking into consideration all the dimensions regarding the issue. So all these are the types of interviews. The last one, the sixth, was group interviews. The fifth was exit interview. The fourth was the grievance interview. The third was under stress interview. The second was, if you see, it was appraisal interview, and the first was interviews for selection. So these are the 6 types of interviews. And also yesterday we learned about telephonic interview and online interview. Hopefully you are writing these questions down for your notes and for your exam preparation. This can be a bigger question. It has notes, like write note on appraisal interview, or some questions like that, or the big question like explain the types of interviews. So on this note, we'll stop here and we'll continue tomorrow. Okay, have a nice day. Bye bye.